Hello and welcome to the Womanifestor podcast. I'm your host, Katie J. I'm a manifestation coach and a mentor to badass, game-changing women. I'm here to share insights, tools, and resources that help me and my clients manifest with ease. It's my hope that you'll take what you learn in this podcast, apply it to your life, and embody it daily. When you do, you'll start to notice profound shifts in your life. You'll have more energy, more self-love, more abundance, better relationships, and you'll begin to live life as your most authentic self, which means you'll be able to manifest faster and easier than ever before. Let's get started. All right, welcome back. Today we have Ashley from Baja Basics. And Ashley and Baja Basics are on a mission to simplify healthy hair and skincare. Her products are 100% pure, organic, and formulated with only safe and minimal ingredients. Nothing that you guys have to Google in these products, you guys. You can find Baja Basics jojoba oil, rose water, and rosehip oil on Amazon or catch them popping up at local community yoga events and wellness markets in the Austin area. Ashley wanted to know how Baja Basics got started. What was the original intention behind it?
Yeah, so Baja Basics was born because I have always had a passion for health and wellness and nutrition specifically. And I decided to leave my tech job to pursue wellness as more of a career. And I started studying online through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And I started to realize that what we're putting on our bodies is also a big part of detoxing. And I started looking further into skincare, and it was a part of the program. And I just started to realize that there wasn't much out there, that even products that were, quote, natural still seemed to have like 20 ingredients on the back that totally puzzled me as to what they actually were. And so I just kind of saw this lack of products that were super simple, only containing the ingredients that you really need. So that was kind of how we got started.
Nice. And what does it mean for ingredients to be organic or pure? Because, everyone in the health space, we're very much aware of buzzwords, but, a lot of people don't understand what they actually mean. And so when we see them on labels, we don't know what to look for. So what does it mean to be organic and pure, specifically in skincare, hair care?
Sure. So that's a great question. Of course, there's obviously different regulations, which can mean different things. For our products, they are grown organically. They're only sourced from a supplier who has pure and organic products. And the pure part of it just means that there's nothing else in there. So it's just, for example, with our jojoba oil, it's just straight up oil, cold pressed from the seed. Same with our rosehip oil. And then with our rose water, it is just purely distilled from rock and rolls. There's nothing else in there.
I think a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the things they buy, even though it says, blank type of oil, actually does have a bunch of additives in there. Mm-hmm. Do you have kind of any information about the type of additives people should be looking out for?
That is a great question. There are, I guess, the obvious ones like the SLSs, sodium lauryl sulfate, parabens, anything that says fragrance or perfume, you have no idea what's going to be in that stuff. There's a lot of chemicals that fall under that category that could be, they could be a lot of things that are not great for your skin.
I was really excited to have you on the podcast just to mention that to people, because I don't think a lot of people have that awareness. And I'm super particular about what I put on my body. And, I've stopped using shampoos and conditioners and all of that stuff. Pretty much the only thing I use in my hair occasionally is an oil. And I have really enjoyed using the jojoba oil that you sent me. It's been awesome.
Yay. I'm so glad you're liking it.
Yeah, because I'm doing this, natural hair journey and doing the freeform dreads, which I don't even know what that means, to be perfectly honest. I guess you just let them do whatever they want to do. But if
you're finding out through experimentation.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, but it's still my hair and I should still take care of it. And, I do really enjoy the jojoba oil on my skin and on my hair, because I've used other oils in the past that have just been almost too heavy or too oily. And I feel like yours is just perfect.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you've been enjoying it. I have to say, when it comes to all the chemicals and whatnot, I just kind of realized from my own experimentation that after I minimize my products, so I actually have minimized my hair and skincare down to only those 3 other than my face wash. But I've started to realize now, anytime that I put something on my skin that has other ingredients in it, or even if someone walks by me and is wearing perfume, my skin is like, whoa, this is too much. So it's just crazy to kind of see over time after you cut those things out. It's just crazy what our skin can get used to that actually isn't good for it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And the fragrances and different makeups and obviously in perfumes and stuff, someone walks by and you're just like, oh my goodness gracious, that smells so awfully, awfully unnatural.
And yet for years I was just used to it, like kind of oblivious to it,
Yeah, I used them, I gifted perfumes and colognes and stuff. And, that highly chemical, I was eating a highly chemical diet too. So that probably like, oh, you like the smell and taste of chemicals because that's what you're eating, So it's all connected.
I was just going to ask what caused you to go, what do you call it? Free form with the dreads?
What caused? Okay. So I was doing a retreat in the middle of November of 2018 with my mentor. She held a retreat down in Costa Rica and I was in Costa Rica. So I was like, perfect, I'll do this. And we went surfing every day. And, we're playing in the ocean when we weren't surfing, and doing a lot of yoga, and it was hot. So my hair was up a lot. It was in the ocean a lot. And it was just getting so tangly that I would be sitting in my bathroom for, 20 minutes trying to get out these chunks of hair that were locking together, is what they call it. They were literally locking together.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I could just let those dreads be dreads, is what I kept saying. I was like, kind of sounds like a little Jamaican song, like let the dreads be dreads, and
love it.
So I just gradually let my hair start to lock up, start to knot into itself, and started to follow. I don't think I would have had the confidence to do that if there weren't already women on the internet posting their freeform lock journey and sharing what works for them and what challenges they've been through. And I think that's kind of the power. That's why I do this podcast, right? Is to share other people's stories so that people are like, oh, I can do that too, and
it's empowering.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I just wanted to stop brushing my hair, basically.
Hey, that's a great reason. I mean, I'm sure it saves you a lot of time.
Oh, yeah. I actually well, I feel bad about throwing them away. I could have probably recycled them, but I did throw away my combs and I was like, whoa, this feels crazy because I don't even need them anymore. So,
Wow. Especially for someone like you who's traveling a lot or has been traveling a lot.
yes, exactly. And it's probably my most low maintenance hairstyle, but it's also really fun because as it's continuously transforming and looking different throughout the stages. And now I'm getting to the point where I have all of this like new growth that's not locked and it's really soft, like right at my scalp. I'm like, ooh, that feels nice, but I don't know what to do with it now. So I've got to kind of follow some blogs and figure out how, do I just let it go or do I
totally?
I don't know, but I will. But the jojoba oil has been very helpful. So thank you.
Yay, you're so welcome. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. So one question I have for you is, what are some, because when did Baja Basics get started?
Yeah, so Baja Basics is kind of a baby company. The idea started to germinate just about a year ago, a little over a year ago. At this point, we didn't even have a name. It was just an idea with the products. And we launched our first product, which actually was the jojoba oil, on Amazon in August of last year.
Of 2018?
Yeah.
Whoa. So you're like very new.
Yeah. So it's super new.
That's so exciting. So in your like first few months of inception, your first year of getting started, what are some challenges that you've run into and had to kind of hurdle in that process?
I think the biggest challenge was that even though this is something that I'm super passionate about and had just found so beneficial for my own experimentation, I think my biggest challenge was, how do I find and connect with the people who share my same passion for this and same convictions, and also just finding our voice, I guess, as a company. And this leads me back to our launch in August when we decided to put the first product on Amazon. My mentor said, like, well, wouldn't it be a great idea to just have a launch party and celebrate with all your family and friends? And, just like, we'll see if we can get some testimonials from people who are trying the products and just have a good time. And so we kind of went all out and actually made it a public event. And we had a yoga class at the Line Hotel, which had just opened up here in Austin at the time, and had, a little display of the products. And it really was just kind of like a gathering to celebrate the launch of this thing. And we had like 70 people show up for yoga. So it was just this interesting like segue into the company really becoming hair and skincare for yogis. Not that it isn't products for everyone, but that's just kind of how we found our tribe. And the funny thing is, our product actually didn't even get onto Amazon in time for the launch party.
Oh my gosh.
So that leads me into, I guess, our other biggest challenge has just been, for me, that was a totally new experience, learning how to sell on Amazon and learning that there's all these hurdles that to jump. For example, because oil is in the title of our product, we had to go through all of this, like submit all this safety information, because that's just one of the words that they flag as being hazardous. So it was quite a journey. Took a lot of persistence to, continue to follow up with Amazon because, they're a massive company and they have, thousands, if not millions of sellers on there. So that was a big learning curve for me, just figuring out how to navigate that channel.
And do you think long term that you guys will stay on Amazon, or do you plan to kind of do that packaging and distribution on your own at any point?
We do have we do have the capability of handling all of the fulfillment ourselves. Amazon has been a great channel to get started, but I think long term, this is a brand that I really foresee becoming more timeless, being able to stand on its own. And so, yes, I would say eventually we do have a Shopify website. So yes, I would say eventually our plan is to hopefully be a little more even with our distribution there.
Nice. Gotcha. And when you keep on saying our and we, and so I know you founded it, but do you have other people that work for you at this point? Or is it just you running it now?
Yes, I do have a business partner, and my business partner thankfully has more experience on the manufacturing side of things, which is really not my forte, nor do I really want to delve into that side of the business. I very much prefer, the creative side of it, and I'm a huge extrovert and I love people. So we kind of were the perfect match there because he likes to do the whole side of things that I don't enjoy, and vice versa. So we've kind of made a good team. And as far as expanding the team, yeah, I get this question all the time, and it's kind of funny. I always thought that I would grow the team, and I think that for now, it's actually pretty easy with an e-commerce business to stay pretty lean. So I think I enjoy handling all the marketing, and so I'm kind of sticking in that role. And we probably will eventually hire a few people to help us with customer service, because right now that's something that's been really important to me. And I also have been chatting with all the customers myself, which I think has been really important in the beginning, to really get to know our people and what their pain points are and what they're looking for and what they enjoy. So yes, I guess that's a long way of answering your question to say that we may grow the team to a few more people, but I don't ever really foresee us becoming a massive company in that regard.
Gotcha. And then what about, I know you mentioned that you have a coach/mentor, and, I think that that's so awesome and so great, because the coaches and mentors that I've had have been so helpful and integral in my growth as a business person and within my mindset and my personal growth. And so wondering if you can kind of tell us more about that relationship and,
I so agree with you. I mean, anytime that I'm asked advice about starting a business, like what are the crucial things, that the first one that I always say is find a mentor, and find a mentor who has already done something similar to what you're trying to accomplish, because for me, I feel like having that guidance has saved me so many headaches. It's just saved me going down roads where I would have probably wasted a lot of time and a lot of what was invested into the company. So I think having someone who can say, feel free to try that experiment, but just know I'm just telling you, like, this is how it's worked for me in the past, I think is huge. And also just to have someone who believes in you. I mean, my mentor believed in me more than I believed in myself at the time, and to have someone to see potential in you when you're doubting yourself, I think is so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how did you find your mentor? Was that just kind of one of those manifesting things?
It totally was. Well, I don't know if I was trying to manifest it. I think at this time I wasn't really aware of this whole idea of visualizing things and focusing on them to try and manifest. But I think that in a way it did kind of manifest just because I was in a season of life where I was very open. I was very open to walking into situations. And I actually had just recently moved back to Austin and was just going to a lot of social things and networking things and meetups that were like totally out of my comfort zone, but also just knowing that I was looking for something and knowing that I was in a place where I needed to be open to who I was going to meet. So yeah, I met my mentor actually at the internet marketing party here in Austin that happens, I believe it happens every month.
Nice. Awesome. And is that like a meetup or something that happens in the Austin area?
Yeah, it is. It's a meetup for other digital marketers and people who run e-commerce businesses. And it's hosted once a month by a guy, I believe his name is David Gonzalez. And I think it's always on a Thursday, maybe last Thursday of the month. But you can look it up. It's IMP, the Internet Marketing Party, and they usually have a speaker come in, and then it's just, a social time to hopefully meet like-minded people.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I definitely want to get more into networking events when I get to Santa Cruz and I'm somewhere long term and I can kind of create that community, and I like that a lot. So
yeah, totally. It's so interesting. I feel like sometimes I've gone to these networking things and even the time that I met my mentor, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, this just seems so, sometimes it can seem like kind of weird and forced. And I literally was like, at the bar getting a drink, like, I think I'm just about to go home when I bumped into him. So I think you just kind of have to go into it without any attachment or expectation, I guess.
Awesome. What are some common misconceptions that people have about either your industry or your products?
I guess here's a big one. The biggest one would be the misconception that we're an essential oil company. So this one I get a lot, especially when we're at events where people may have never even heard of a carrier oil before.
Right.
So yeah, that I would say is the biggest differentiator that I typically have to explain, is that jojoba oil and rosehip oil are actually carrier oils. They're not essential oils. So the way that I demonstrate that is to mix essential oils in a roller ball with our jojoba oil. Mm-hmm. And then I actually demo the product by like asking people, can I borrow your wrist? Can I just show you how this works? And then they see like, oh, this is an essential oil that I would use for, fragrance or to ingest, or, there's many different uses for essential oils, but that actually, this is a moisturizer that I can also use to dilute essential oils. For example, I usually do the demos with peppermint and wintergreen because those are really very strong, tingly EOs that you wouldn't want to put straight up on your skin. So I'd say that's a big one. And then also our business model. There's, most of the essential oil companies that people are familiar with, like doTERRA and Young Living, which I think are both phenomenal companies in that how, clean and pure they keep their products. Mm-hmm. But the business model is just very different. So I think there's usually a misconception that if someone bumps into me at a wellness market, that I'm, representing some bigger company that's multi-level. And so then I have to kind of explain like, no, this is actually just me doing my thing, trying to connect with the local community.
I like that because you kind of are in this niche that people who are just getting in. So essential oils, I feel like are exploding, which is awesome because I think more of us should be using essential oils for healing and blah, blah, blah. And I use them all the time. But as people get them and they start to realize like, wait a second, it says not to put it directly on my skin. So then they start to have this education point and they realize I need a carrier oil. And I want to keep it in line with the organic and the pure and what it is that I'm already getting. So it's cool because you occupy a section of the market that is just specific to, the carrier oil and loud and proud. That's what I have. And that's what I'm good at.
Totally. And I don't think there's many other, at least from what I've seen, there's not a lot of other hair and skincare products that are just one ingredient, right? That's usually kind of the selling point, is that there's some magical mixture in there because there's like 20 things in it, which is not necessarily bad. I mean, there's products out there that are blends, and we're even thinking about developing some blends, but it's just, I guess one of the biggest things that I want to preach is just like, it is that simple. Like, you can just put jojoba oil on your face and that can be your moisturizer. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
Nope. It does not. And it has SPF in it, or like it helps protect against the sun. I don't know if you can technically say like it's this kind of SPF, but
that it's like sunscreen.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that. I also recently discovered, I feel like I'm discovering new uses for these guys all the time, or friends like, oh, my nail was totally infected and the jojoba oil saved it. Yes. But I got a really bad sunburn recently, and I didn't have any aloe vera because that's, always been my go-to. And I think most people, when they get a sunburn, it's like, oh, where's my aloe vera gel? And so I was like, well, I'm just going to try jojoba oil because it seems to work for everything else. And I mean, I was amazed at how quickly it took away the redness and the dryness and kept my skin from peeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I went into, I don't know, it was one of the like local herb shops in Austin, I think the Herb Bar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I've heard of this place.
Yeah.
I haven't been there. Everyone keeps telling me to check it out.
You should. It's a very magical place.
It sounds like it. It sounds wonderful. It sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. Yeah. And I walk in and I'm like, I'm living in Costa Rica. I get a lot of sun. I want something that, is going to protect my skin from all the sun damage and blah, blah, blah. And they gave me jojoba oil, and that's the oil that was like way more oily than yours. And that's why I like yours more, because I don't put it on my face and feel like there's like a layer there. And so I'll put on the like thicker stuff whenever it's like my arms and whatnot. If I'm going to be, out there in the sun for too long, use more of it. But yours I use exclusively on my face and hair.
I love hearing that. And I'm glad you brought it up too, because I think there's often this concern of like, I can't put straight up oil on my face. Like, that's just too, like, it's going to make my face oily. And I was the same. I mean, if someone had told me, 2 years ago that I would be putting straight up oil on my face, I'd be like, that's absolutely crazy. Like, I have an oily face to begin with. Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. I was always looking for those like oil-free cleansers. And it's crazy because jojoba oil is actually closest to your skin's sebum. So it's closest to the oil that your skin naturally produces. And so because of that, whether or not you have dry or oily skin, it actually balances it out, in that it kind of tricks your skin into thinking have the right amount of moisture, so that it doesn't have to produce excess. So for me, having oily skin, it actually works really well because, as I'm sure you've noticed, the oil absorbs pretty well within like 15 minutes or so, sometimes even less. And so what I've been educating my friends on, who are like, no way, I can't put my makeup on over that, or it just like makes my face too shiny, is that give it time to absorb. And then if you accidentally went a little too heavy with it and there still are spots, literally all I do is just take, a Kleenex or a towel and just dab it on my face. And I swear it looks completely matted after that, giving it enough time to absorb.
Absolutely. And that's something I've noticed with my hair as well. When I stopped using conditioners and shampoos, my hair was doing its own managing, I guess you could say. And it's like same with the skin. Like when you stop using harsh chemicals that are stripping away your skin's ability to manage itself, it will get back into balance, and you can use natural products and you can use oils, and it doesn't, like you said, your skin starts to be tricked into thinking like, I have enough oils. I don't need to keep producing more because you're not using stuff that's stripping it all away.
Totally. Totally. And you need a barrier of something there to, you know, to keep all the bacterias from coming in and, you know, protecting from things like breakouts, which leads me to two other interesting components of the jojoba oil, which is that it's not only anti-inflammatory. So honestly, I found it for any redness on the skin, whether you have an open cut, whether you have a mosquito bite, whatever it is, it brings down inflammation and reduces redness, but it's also antibacterial. So I've been using it, you know, anytime that I've gotten, say, like a cut or an open wound, I've been using it rather than putting something super harsh on there, like, you know, rubbing out. I used to use rubbing alcohol for everything because it actually does protect the skin and keeps bacteria from getting in there.
And so when it comes to like, because I've spoken with other wellness products providers that basically, you know, they have all these hoops to jump through on what they can put on the label and how they can advertise. Have you run into any of that where you can't say legal? And I think all of this is ridiculous, by the way, but you can't say, you know,
certain words.
Bottle, certain words. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say probably one of the main ones that I try and stay away from is anti-aging, because even though our products definitely are anti-aging, it's kind of like, how do you prove that?
Right.
You know,
right.
We haven't really been around, like as a company, our specific products haven't really been around long enough. So yeah, I guess it is kind of ridiculous, but I try and just keep things more open. Like, hey, you've got to experiment for yourself to find out how it works for you. Like, these products do not work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, bio-individuality, like that applies to our skin just like anything else in life. So yeah, I hesitate to make any claims on our labels that like, oh, this is magical, it's going to fix all your problems.
Right. Because you also don't know what else they're using either.
Totally.
Yeah.
That too. I saw the other day on a box. What is the company? There's a company called, I think they're just called the Skincare Company. And they also strive to keep their ingredients more clean and minimal. I think they focus a little bit more on acne treatments. Mm-hmm. But it literally said on the package something along the lines of, just know that a big part of having healthy skin is a healthy lifestyle and diet, which is so true and so important to remember because, you know, I feel like I take pretty good care of my skin. Like I've been so adamant about, cutting out all the crap and simplifying, and, you know, I wash my face regularly and eat pretty well. But then it's just funny because it's like, even still doing all these things, if I'm stressed out, like my skin still lets me know. So I think, you know, you can't expect to just put jojoba oil on your face and it's just magically going to be super clear. I mean, I hope that happens, but
right.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah. As anyone who studies, you know, integrative health or wellness or, you know, I say alternative healing practices or what have you, knows that there's a full lifestyle approach, and that's what works. That is the term, lifestyle approach. Yeah, exactly. It's the whole thing. It's not like a one-stop shop. This magic in a bottle is going to fix everything in your life. Like, you also have to learn how to manage stress. You also have to learn how to eat well, even when you're traveling a lot, you know, like it's absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you're bringing this up. Are you familiar with the term primary foods? No. I'm not. I don't know if this only applies to IIN, the institute that I study nutrition or integrative nutrition through, but they basically say that
secondary foods is what's on your plate. So like coaching on secondary foods is just strictly nutrition. But the primary foods would be the other areas of your life that affect your health, and most often are what cause people to have health problems and, unhealthy habits with their eating in the first place. And those 4 primary foods are physical activity, career, relationships, and spirituality.
Ooh, those are all like foods to your well-being, basically.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Don't you love that? And it's so true. Like if something's off in one, or for some people, all of those areas of their life, of course you're going to be emotional and binge eating, or, going overboard with the wine, or, whatever it is that whatever your health goals are that you're not able to reach.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm glad that this came up. I wasn't even expecting this to come up, but that's great. So are you currently coaching right now, or are you mainly focusing on yoga and the other things that you have going on, like working at an MMA gym?
Yeah.
You said that and I was like, whoa, tell me more.
That is a great question. It's funny how life just takes turns that you don't expect. That was my plan, was to be a health coach. That's what I wanted to do. I'm super passionate about just helping people thrive and heal themselves. And I thought that like food was going to be that path, Little did I know about these primary foods at the time. But to be honest with you, as much as I would love to take on clients, I really haven't had time. Baja Basics really started to take off around the time that I was graduating from that program. And then I went straight into yoga teacher training in January. Really just fell in love with that. And yoga had such a big impact on my life at a time when I was going through just a lot of hard emotional stuff. And so I decided to kind of focus on that as almost as like a passion project. I mean, I don't plan on teaching yoga my career, but I do. It's just something that I want to share, and I feel passionate about cultivating a space for people to explore yoga and meditation in places that and places where we can reach people that probably are never going to set foot in a yoga studio. Like as much as I hate to say this, I think I have several friends who just say like, oh, I don't want to do yoga. I'm not good at it. I'm not flexible. And, they're going to walk into a yoga studio and not even know where to put their shoes or how any of this works, So anyway, long story to answer your question. I'm focusing on Baja Basics as much as I can full time, just because it's really started to take off on the Amazon side and take up most of my time. But then I'm going to be starting a yoga program at a new MMA gym here in Austin called Dark Clan Fight Lab. So they're over on the east side, and we are having an event to launch the yoga program. Not this Saturday, but next, so the 13th. And then we plan to continue having classes there every Saturday.
Nice. And Dark Clan Fight Lab is the name of the MMA gym, not your yoga class? Or
correct.
Okay. I was like, whoa, Ashley, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that's the name of the MMA gym. And it's just funny because I guess this is another thing that kind of manifested without me even meaning for it to, but I used to be really into kickboxing as cross training for my yoga and running. It just seemed to be this like trifecta, doing those 3 things. And so the way that I got connected with the MMA gym was also kind of serendipitous. I was connected with them because they were looking for sponsors for their launch party. And at first I was kind of like, well, I don't know if Baja Basics really would like fit into this sort of thing. But then we had actually done an event at On It. It was an all women's sparring event. And everyone there loved the rose water as their like post workout way to freshen up.
Ooh.
In fact, one of the girls there was calling it Insta Princess.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, well, if Insta Princess came out of us, you know, sponsoring this all women sparring, but I was like, sure, why not? Let's have a little pop up at this MMA gym. And so then I met the owner, Derek, who is absolutely wonderful. I love what he does because his focus is on, it's just focused on building people up in leadership and creating a family. And it just feels like a place that is all inclusive. And there's a lot of diversity there. I think that when most people think of MMA gyms, they think of a predominantly, it's predominantly male. And I'd say there's probably like 40% females training in that gym. Nice. So it just really made me excited to even think about starting yoga at a place like that, because I think it's, well, I mean, I'm kind of biased. I think everyone should do yoga, but I think especially when you're doing that intense of a type of training, yoga is so important to prevent injuries. Oh,
for sure. And they need more flexibility. I mean, all athletes need yoga. All athletes need yoga.
Totally. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, in this day and age, whether you're sitting at a computer all day or training all day, I think everyone should be doing at least 15 minutes of yoga a day.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
At least. Thank goodness there are so many yoga instructors out there.
Oh my goodness. In Austin, it's just getting crazy how much yoga is going on in this town. And it was really funny when I was going through training because, you know, we're having all these come to Jesus moments of like, you know, there's a lot of yoga teachers in this town. Like if you want to teach yoga, like you may not be getting a gig. And it's just funny because actually a lot of people who go through yoga teacher training, I think, are doing it just to deepen their practice. They don't even necessarily want to teach. But when that kept getting brought up, I was like, yeah, that's true. But I mean, man, first of all, not only the number of people who are moved in, but the number of people who are interested in yoga is just growing exponentially. So I think there is a need for more and more yoga teachers these days.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that when I went through yoga teacher training back, that was 2015, we felt the same way. They were saying the same thing. You know, there's tons of yoga teachers in this town and we're constantly making more. And they kind of put you in a bit of a scarcity mindset, which in retrospect, I don't really appreciate. I think
totally
there's more than enough to go around because there's all these people, even within our own friend groups, who have never tried yoga and still think that if they can't touch their toes, they can't step on a mat. And I'm like, just bend your knees. You'll touch your toes.
Totally. It's like you've got to get them into that environment so they can realize how actually safe and non-judgmental it is. And so that they can actually realize like, no one's watching what you're doing on your mat. Like they're zenned out and they're in their own little world over there.
Yeah. And if they are watching what you're doing, if they're watching what you're doing, then they're not doing yoga. So.
Totally. Where did you do your yoga teacher training?
At Black Swan.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was, I did it with Carly and Ray. And I don't know if you know Amy. Yeah, that's how we all met. It was yoga teacher training.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love Carly. I'm really glad she introduced us.
I know. Me too. It was one of those times where it's just like anytime she brings someone in front of me, I know that I need to be connected with them.
Aw.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today, Ashley. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Katie. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, you as well. Ashley and I recorded this episode back in spring of 2019 when she was still teaching at the MMA gym. Now, she's traveling the world because her business has allowed her the flexibility to do so. You can learn more about Baja Basics by following at Baja Basics on Instagram. Also, Ashley has been so kind in extending a discount code to all of you listening right here, right now. Use code 10 KATIEJ. That's 10 KDJ, my name, when you check out on Amazon purchasing your Baja Basics products, and you will get 10% off your first purchase. You can use the link in the show notes as a quick way to go onto Amazon and get you some Baja Basics products. Ashley also just sent me a collagen boosting serum, so I'm really excited to use that and give it a try. I've used their rosehip oil, jojoba oil, rose water spray, and also the prickly pear seed oil. So I've been a huge fan of all of them. They've kept my skin looking really young and youthful and moisturized, and I highly recommend her products. So check her out on Amazon. You can just search Baja Basics and connect with her on Instagram at Baja Basics, BAJA Basics. That's it for this week on the Womanifester podcast. I look forward to having you next time. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for stopping by the Womanifester podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you took a screenshot and shared it to your Instagram story. You can tag me at Womanifester, and I'll share it on my story as well. If you really, really like this episode, I would really appreciate it if you left a rating and review. This helps other people find the Womanifester podcast and amplifies the impact of this work.